Yo, what is up guys? It is Matthew Maz Fishing and I want to say welcome back to another video. In this video, I am going to be bringing you guys a little bit of a review on some ice fishing gear. I'm going to be going over what I believe is the best rod and reel combo on the market for ice fishing. So without further ado guys, let's get right into it. So, in my opinion, the best rod and reel combo that you can currently buy on the market for ice fishing is the Shimano Sienna rod and reel combos. The Shimano Sienna Ice Combo just came out this year, brand new from Shimano, and there's a few reasons as to why I believe these are the best rod and reel combos for the money that you can buy. For starters, they come with the Shimano Sienna reel, which has been a staple reel made by Shimano for a very long time. They're a very good quality reel, they're fairly inexpensive to buy, and a lot of guys actually use these for ice fishing regardless before these combos even came out. With that all being said, let's get into a little bit of the details specifically about the Shimano Sienna reel. So it is in a 500 size, as the name suggests. It's a Sienna 500. So it's a smaller size spool. It has a line capacity, as it says on here. You could get 2-pound line, 190 yards, up to 6-pound and 60 yards. You could always go to a braid to help you get a little bit more line on that spool. Personally, I'm a very big fan of these reels for how cheap they are. It's roughly about $50 MSRP for just the reel. They come with a pretty smooth drag system and up to 7 pounds of drag, which is pretty impressive for a $50 reel. The other thing that I do like about these reels is for $50, it feels quite sturdy and quite well built. Comes with a nice handle on there, nothing flimsy, everything feels fairly solid. I'd say the Shimano Sienna reels, just in a general sense, not even for ice fishing, are some of the best valued reels you can buy, and they're very durable. They work quite well. As I mentioned, you can typically find these reels for about $50 by themselves, but what I think is pretty incredible is for the rod and reel ice combo, it's typically about $60. I actually managed to find mine on sale at Cabela's. This is in Canada, this is Canadian pricing, US will be slightly cheaper. I found mine on sale at Cabela's in Canada for $50 on sale, regularly from $60. So literally the same price as just the reel, and I essentially got a free ice rod. It's not a bad hookup. I also want to mention the Sienna 500 comes on all 5 different models of the Shimano Sienna Ice combos. Now that we've talked a little bit about the Shimano Sienna reel, now we're gonna get a little bit into the rod. So first things first, when we start talking about all of the Shimano Sienna combos, I want to let you guys know the different models they are available in. So there is a 24-inch ultralight, there's a 26-inch light, and then there is a 28-inch medium light, a 28-inch medium, and a 28-inch medium heavy. Those are the 5 different ones you get. They all come with the Shimano Sienna 500 reel, and then a different rod with a different power. So we're gonna start off from the lighter action rods and make our way up. So this is the 24-inch ultralight rod. It has a very soft noodle tip with a fluorescent tip on it as well. I'm a very big fan of this rod because it does have a very soft tip, but it also has very nice backbone. Personally, I like to use this rod when I'm panfish fishing or fishing for perch. Again, I really am a big fan of that nice soft tip because it lets you detect every single little bite extremely well. However, it does have enough backbone to still really set the hook into some of those bigger fish. I fish Lake Simcoe a lot and Lake Kuching, as you guys have seen. So we do have some bigger perch and this rod can handle them no problem, but it makes it very easy to detect those bites. It's a very nice rod, probably my favorite ice rod I have. Another thing that you guys will notice on both the ultralight, the light, and the medium light Shimano Sienna combos, they come with both a ring guide as well as the coil guides, as you can see there. I do like these guides a lot. They're oversized, so they don't really freeze up with ice too much. Let's see if I can get a good shot for you. So don't freeze up in the ice too bad. You can fish these outside without a shelter or anything like that and not really have to be constantly trying to get ice out of your guides. Big plus in my books. Now I believe they only do this on the lighter models due to the fact that the coil guides are a little bit weaker than the ring style of guides compared to this guy here. So you can see the one right there. It's the coil, so it doesn't have any of the arms on the side or anything like that. Whereas the one on the back here is the ring guide. So this one only has 1 ring guide and then 3 coil guides. Moving on, the next rod that they have is a 26-inch light action rod. I do not own that one. In my opinion, the light action would still also be suitable for targeting fish like bigger perch, panfish, and stuff like that. It would probably even be okay for some smaller walleyes. However, targeting bigger fish, I would want to move up into some of the heavier rods. When I am ice fishing, another thing to mention, I tend to downsize on the power of my rods. I find when you are ice fishing, I use quite a loose drag and a light lighter action rod because I find it's a lot easier to detect bites. However, certain things, such as when I'm fishing for whitefish or Lakers or something like that, using a jig like a Meigs, you do want something a little bit stiffer in order to actually work the bait properly. So it does all kind of depend on the bait and the presentation, as well as the fish I'm targeting. So moving on up, we have the next one that I own. It is the 28-inch medium light combo. So this one still comes with that fluorescent tip on it, the same as the 26 and the 24-inch rod, as well as it also has those coil guides. It has 1, 2, 3 coil guides. And then it also has 2 of the ring style guides further down the rod. So even on the medium light, you do have a fairly light tip. With that being said, it is definitely more sturdy than the ultralight tip, but it has even more backbone. So when you do kind of start to pull it, you can see that rod's a lot more firm. When I start to move down, it has a lot more backbone than the ultralight for sure. And this rod, personally, I bought more for targeting things like walleye. You could also use this for whitefish if you're going in shallower water. With that being said, targeting a bigger whitefish, like something upwards of sort of 5 pounds, would probably start to get a little bit tricky on this rod. You could definitely handle it without a doubt, but I would probably want something a little bit heavier. The next one we are going to be talking about is the 28-inch medium action rod. So again, Shimano Sienna 500 size reel, 28-inch medium action rod. And it comes with all the ring guides on that one. So you get rid of the coil guides, so it will be this style of guide all the way up. I do not own that one, and I have seen it in stores though, so it also gets rid of the fluorescent tip, which isn't necessarily the biggest deal because once you do start moving into a heavier action rod like that, your strikes are probably going to be a little bit more aggressive. If I was using that rod, I would personally say it's ideal for fishing something like whitefish, using say like a Meigs for example. I think the 28-inch would be a very good rod because it is actually quite sturdy. So if you're using the Meigs, you do typically want something with a bit of a stiffer tip. You just want that tip to move ever so slightly. I think that would be an absolutely perfect rod for doing that. Last but not least, we are going to be talking about the 28-inch medium heavy combo. I don't own that one either, but it does come with all ring guides, just like the 28-inch medium comes with, as well as there's no fluorescent tip on that one. It is a fairly stout rod, which does have its time and place for sure. I would use this rod personally if I was, say, up north targeting some lake trout, because a lot of these northern lakes will have kind of smaller lake trout. It could also definitely be used for whitefish on places like Lake Simcoe and stuff like that. It is better in shallower water, which is one of the downsides I want to mention of these heavier combos. If I had to give one suggestion to Shimano, it would be to add, say, a 1000 size Shimano Sienna reel on there, because when you do get into a rod that heavy, you're typically fishing deeper water. So it doesn't really make sense, in my opinion, to only equip them with a size 500 reel. These reels do come with enough line. If you put braid on there, you can definitely still fish it in say 80 or even 100 feet of water. However, if you were to say to hook up into a lake trout that'll take you for a solid run, there is definitely a potential that that fish might spool you. Now, the other thing that I do want to critique about these rods is the length. So I think they have it very spot on with the ultralight. I think a 24-inch is absolutely perfect. I'm a big fan. I think the light going into the 26 is also a perfect length. No complaints there. And then you move into the medium light, which is a 28, which is the one that I have. Again, I also think they nailed it on the length of this rod. When you start to move into the medium and the medium heavy, I think they should get you into a bigger rod. So 28-inch for me, I know in America things are a little bit different. They don't typically fish for these massive lake trout and stuff like that. Some of the lakes do have them, don't get me wrong. They do tend to do a little bit more pan fishing and stuff like that in pike, which you'll find in shallower water. But when you're fishing somewhere in Canada, say some of these northern lakes that do have some large lakers, or somewhere like Lake Simcoe, having a bigger rod is a lot better, because if you are using a medium heavy, the odds are you're targeting a big fish. So having a longer rod will allow you to more evenly distribute your line pressure through the rod, as well as when that fish does head shake you, you do have a little bit more forgiveness, as now your rod's bent a lot more over a longer length, which means you're going to be able to fight that fish a lot more efficiently, and you have less of a chance of losing the fish. So Shimano, if you're watching this, I would love to see next year if you guys were to come out with, for example, maybe a 30-inch or a 32-inch medium. I think that'd be a really good addition. I would say a 1000 size Sienna, something a little bit bigger. And if you were to produce a 36 or a 38-inch medium heavy rod, I think it would be ideal for it to come again with about a 1000 sized Shimano Sienna reel, because you will be fishing deeper water. It really only makes sense. I'm going to take you guys now a little bit into the way that I personally have mine set up. So on the ultralight, I only run 3-pound test mono, completely plain and simple, nothing fancy. It works for me. I never even use a leader when I'm fishing for perch. I don't find it's necessary. Using a small enough pound test line like the 3-pound works absolutely fine where those perch aren't really gonna see that line very much. Fluoro would work a little bit better. Personally, I don't feel like it's necessary. Now moving into the 28-inch medium light that I have. When I'm using this reel, I have it spooled up with a 10-pound ice braid. I'm using the Suffix ice braid. I haven't tried the Power Pro. I'm sure it's good as well. Personally, I use Suffix on most of my bass reels, so I figured I'd use the Suffix on my ice reel as well. I am a big fan of Suffix. I find the line's very strong. The one downside of it, which I find with the 832 braid, is it does fade a lot, but you won't really be seeing that with the ice line since it's already white. Now 10-pound is probably a little bit overkill. In my opinion, this rod would definitely shine when you're fishing for walleye. You could probably get away with using an 8-pound mainline, and then I also do rig it up with a leader, a fluorocarbon. Right now I think I have a 6-pound or an 8-pound test leader on there. I usually use the Seagar Steelhead or the Seagar Invisex fluorocarbon. It's the most budget-friendly fluorocarbon. I'm a student. Budget-friendly is very important to me. Now, last but not least, I want to kind of do a little comparison to some of the other rod and reel combos on the market. So I think the biggest reason in my mind why these rod and reel combos shine in terms of ice fishing is significantly due to the reel that they come with and the price point. That price point really can't be beat for a good quality reel with a decent quality rod. When you do tend to get into some of the other $40 or $50 combos, something like the Ugly Stick GX2 ice combos, they're decent rods, but when you look at the reel on them, they're really not that great. I've broken a couple of those reels. The drag systems aren't the best. There's a pin on the inside that's actually molded into the spool, and once it rips out, the reel's basically trash. You're not really gonna run into that issue on these guys. The Shimano Sienna reels are really good quality, true and tested over the years by hundreds and hundreds of anglers, which is why I think these are really a great bang for buck rod and reel combo. Now, I haven't seen anything really that I would call comparable to the Shimano Siennas. Again, like I was saying, if I was to say the next best rod and reel combo, I'd probably go with those Ugly Sticks. However, I'm not really a fan of the reels. But every year as time goes on, I tend to see that companies are starting to come out with better and better preset rod and reel combos specifically for ice fishing, which is a really awesome thing to see. So who knows what the future will bring. I want to mention one last thing before I end off this video. If there is a ice rod and reel combo that you personally really like, make sure to comment it down below. I'd like to hear your opinions and see kind of what everyone tends to use when they're out ice fishing. So guys, that is going to just about wrap it up for this video. I hope you guys really enjoyed. I hope you guys learned a little bit about these new Shimano Sienna ice combos, and I hope you guys learned what combo would be most suitable to what type of fishing. Thank you guys very much for watching. I hope you have an absolutely awesome day. Make sure you hit that like button and that subscribe button down below and turn on your post notifications if you have not already. I'm uploading a new video every single week. It's been a grind so far. I've been really working for my fish this ice fishing season, but I absolutely can't wait to get back on some ice and hopefully catch some more monsters to share with you guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. Have a wonderful day and peace.